three main reasons why you are not able to learn French. If you do anything rather than doing nothing, it will always going to work for you. If in first 5 to 6 months of your learning, one big mistake that you can make over here is ki I can't watch this RFI, I can't listen to this RFI, but I can listen to this YouTube channel and it is very, very fun. Then I was like, oh, it's very interesting. Now the language has become interesting. It feels like a big change that, once you go back to India, you won't be able to come back, but that's not the case. You start learning French, you cleared the TEF exam and you are now disconnected with the language. It will never happen. Okay, hello everybody. So welcome to today's video. We're going to talk about something which is very, very important. Three main reasons why you are not able to learn French. And yes, these are not related to, okay, you are using this wrong resource, you are using that resource. I honestly want to say ki whatever you are doing in French, it works. Because if you do anything rather than doing nothing, it will always going to work for you. So that is one thing that we need to clear. We sometimes become too binary ki okay, this resource does not work, this resource works. That's not the case. It's more about ki how much this resource works and for what purpose this resource is for, what purpose does it solve. Okay, so that's not the thing that I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about three methodology changes that you need to have, or three reasons why you are not able to learn French, and if you implement these changes, you will be able to stick longer and actually clear your TEF exam. So first thing, which is very, very important, is thinking of TEF Canada exam too early. Now, yes, I understand ki your goal is learning French to get PR in Canada, which is to clear your TEF or TEF Canada exam. The only thing over here is, the only issue is ki if you are someone who is like, okay, you have done basics of the language, now you are moving on to the intermediate phase, probably you are a student at Frenchify, you have done A2, and now you are moving on to B1, you're very excited to start that exam prep right from B1, and you'll be fine. It is a good time to think about TEF exam when you are someone who has transitioned to an intermediate level. But what I see is in 90% of the people, or most of the people, are actually beginners in the language. And one big mistake that they make at a beginner level, at now we are not even saying A1, A2, but we are just saying ki if you're a fresher in the language, which is usually about first 5 to 6 months, okay, if you're in first 5 to 6 months of your learning, one big mistake that you can make over here is ki okay, now let's start exploring TEF Canada exam. Let's start seeing how are the questions. Let's start seeing ki what is listening, how is listening like, how is reading like. Oh, for speaking I have to do this much, for writing I have to write like this. This is very technical, very difficult, I can't do that. Sure, you will get demotivated if you do this. Why? Because right now this is the worst time that you'll be able to, that you can see ki okay, how the exam is, and I have to start preparing for the exam. The only thing, the only emotion you will feel is overwhelm. That's pretty much it. Okay, I mean, what I want you to do is stop thinking about the exam for first 6 months. Do not even think about the exam, even though your goal is to clear the TEF exam. Why? Because TEF Canada is what? Let's understand what is TEF Canada. TEF Canada is a language exam. Which language is it? It is French. So as long as you are understanding French, as long as you are studying French, there is nothing different that you need to know in TEF Canada. Okay, it's not like it's a combination of French and mathematics rules, and you have to learn new mathematic rules with French in order to attempt the exam. No, it's language itself. Whenever you're giving your IELTS or self-prep exam as well, you know English primarily. That is the reason you are able to attempt those exams. That's why when you start your IELTS prep or when you start your self-prep prep, you're able to just do the mock practices and you're like, okay, now I'm able to get this XYZ score. But you cannot apply the same methodology, same approach when you are preparing for TEF Canada. Why? Because you are first of all learning the language itself, and then you are learning the format and understanding the TEF Canada exam format or TCF, and then preparing yourself accordingly. In fitness, we say something like specificity. Okay, like if you're someone who wants to run marathons, you'll focus more on running more. You won't do a lot of weight training. Okay, if you're someone who wants to build muscle, you'll focus more on high volume, and you will focus more on doing more reps, 10 to 12 reps. If your goal is strength, you'll focus more on the strength part of lifting. But the thing is, for that also, there is a base level of form, and there is a base level of understanding, there is a base level of fitness that you require. All right, you cannot just go first day into the gym and you cannot be like, okay, I want to become a power lifter, so I'll just start doing deadlifts. No, you slowly build up your body to that. And same thing happens in French, honestly. I'm making this closer to IELTS, self-prep, and closer to fitness because most of people will be able to relate to that, right? So you have to understand ki first get good in the language. You don't even have to be perfect in the language, but start understanding the language. You should be at a point where if you see something, written on, let's say highway, Toronto 400 highway, it's written au nord. Now you know ki okay, what is this? Okay, if it is written something else, dépêchez-vous, or whatever, say, you should know ki okay, what is that? if it is written, if you're able to read most of the labels in French, if you're able to understand overall generic French in regular life, at least that is the point where you can think of exam, not before that. So something which is very important. Second reason why most people quit is that they're not making the language learning enjoyable. Please understand this. Language learning does not have to be a torture. It is not a torture. Sure, for first 3 to 4 months, when you are learning grammar, you feel like, okay, is language learning going to be like this? But believe me, after some time, once you are done with the grammar, once you move on to the reading listening aspect, once you move on to speaking writing aspect, you can morph the language so much according to what you want to consume and what you want to do, and you will still get really good results. I'm giving you my personal example. When I used to study French for first 4 months, I intensively did grammar. Sure, I used to be like, I don't want to keep on doing grammar. I want to move forward. I want to keep on doing these edito A1, A2 books. But what happened is those things, they built up my base of the language. From there, once I switched on to listening to YouTube videos, when I started watching French vlogs, when I started listening to philosophy podcasts in French, when I started listening to geopolitics in French, then I was like, oh, it's very interesting. Now the language has become interesting. But for you, in order to start those things, you still need to have that base. Students, or people, those who want to learn French, they right from the beginning, they're like, okay, what movies should I watch to learn French? What series should I watch on Netflix to learn French? It doesn't work that way. Okay, sure, you have to make learning enjoyable. You have to include those movies and series so that you can get most of the volume. But grammar is important as well. Okay, so once you build that base for first 3 to 4 months of the grammar, then slowly you introduce more of your things that you personally enjoy. Okay, sure, forget all that RFI, forget all those things that are there on YouTube. I am recommending them. Why? Because they help a lot. But at the end of the day, even if I recommend you something, but if it doesn't work for you, you won't be able to learn the language. Okay, you will only be able to stick to this language if you are doing what you love to do. Sure, because that is the only thing that will give you high enough volume. Okay, so let's take an example. If I'm like, okay, Vyom told me to do RFI Francais Facile on regular basis for 1 hour. I'm doing, but you're like so much, you're frustrated ki RFI Francais Facile, I don't want to look onto this website anymore. But Vyom told me to do it. Do you think it's a very sustainable approach? No. Instead, if you're like, you know what, I can't watch this RFI, I can't listen to this RFI, but I can listen to this YouTube channel, and it is very, very fun. Okay, for an example, Jamie Epic QQ, like, this is a very fun channel. I like to watch it always. This was very, very fun, and I can literally binge watch that channel for like 2 to 3 hours without any problems. I won't even feel like I'm learning a language. I feel like I'm consuming YouTube content. Okay, but RFI, it's complete opposite. So at the end of the day, you have to make it sustainable for you, which is actually my third point, which I want to transition to, is you have to make it sustainable long term. We get so much indulged into this hype. Okay, French, I should be studying 3 hours or 4 hours on regular basis. You have been working, you worked for 10 hours, 12 hours, and then you came home and you were very, very tired, but you pushed yourself very hard to study French for 4 hours. Why? Because XYZ person told you to do so, and that XYZ person is even me, because I also tell you to study more. But that is a muscle that you will build over the time. If you're just starting the language, go slow, reduce your expectations. Okay, reduce your expectations to half. If, let's say, you heard a lot of these comments, people say to learn French for 4 hours on daily basis, at least try to do it for 2 hours. If you are able to do that consistently while managing your other things, while managing your work, because you are working 40 plus hours, this is more sustainable and it is more doable over the longer run than just doing it for 4 hours for first month and quitting French because you were like, okay, this is not sustainable. Like, my mind is getting too much irritated. I don't have enough energy to continue learning French. I just can't do it. You have to make it slow and you have to make it approachable. These two last things which I mentioned, they are very, very important. The reason is because I have seen a lot of people quit. Okay, even students. Now I'll be very transparent. There are students who quit. They're like, okay, it's just not doable for me. And it used to happen in the past, not right now. Why? Because now people are more motivated because they are seeing the results and they know it works. But it used to happen like students were like, okay, I found this other method of getting PR, but now I don't want to continue French. Okay, the only thing over here is ki you were trying to push yourself a bit too hard than you're supposed to, and you were trying to think of it in a short term. Okay, I just have to do French only for this X amount of time and then I'll get rid of French. Believe me when I say this, once you clear your TEF exam, after that, you will keep on consuming the language. You will keep on learning French. Why? Because this becomes a part of your life. And I'm so proud to say that I started Frenchify. Why? Because It not only helps me stay connected with the language. If I would have not started Frenchify, I would have still learned French on regular basis. I would have still consumed something in French on regular basis. So this is something which you are doing long term over the time. This is not something that you start learning French, you cleared the TEF exam, and you are now disconnected with the language. It will never happen. Consider it as a long term approach which you can sustain it for longer, rather than just going like a short burst for 2 months and quitting just because you felt like it cannot happen. Okay, if not 9 months, you'll clear it in 10 months. If not 10 months, you'll clear it in 11, 12 months, 13, 14. Eventually it's going to happen. Worst case scenario, even if you had to go back to India, that's okay. TEF centers are in India as well, so you can still give the exam over here. Your profile will still be eligible. So do not get too much pressurized. Okay, my work permit is only left for 10 months, so it's all 10 months or nothing. That's not the case. Even if you go back to India, the worst case scenario, you'll just have to give the exam in India. What's the problem? Okay, I know it feels like a big change that once you go back to India, you won't be able to come back, but that's not the case. If you give your French exam, once you clear your French exam, you are fine. There are a lot of students, those who were they started around the end of their work permit, but right now they are in India. Why? Because their work permit expired. Obviously, they cannot stay over here for a very long time. They are in India right now, but they are still learning French and they are still planning to give their exam from India. So these cases are also there. So you have to understand ki this is not like a short-term thing. This is not like a gimmick, cookie cutter approach. Ki all right, French for X months and then I'm done. I have my PR. This will be a lifestyle. The more you make French like a lifestyle, longer you will stick to it, and the more enjoyable you'll be able to make it. So please make sure to do these things. If you want to learn French, make sure to come, reach out to Frenchify, because if you start with a proper structure only, then you will be more consistent to it. Sure, you can do self study as well, and I give you best of luck, all the best to you if you want to do self study. But if you do it with a structurized approach, you are able to stick to it more. Why? Because you know what is the next step, you know what is the next thing to do. What do we have to do tomorrow, what do we have to do day after tomorrow, what is there for listening, what is there for reading. So you know exact steps. So you can reach out to Frenchify, and I hope to see you in the next one. Au revoir, bonne journée à tous. Au revoir, merci beaucoup.